Hello, everybody. This is Gary De Rodriguez. I'm so happy you're here. I wanted to share with you just a few little tips because there's one question that's asked me all the time, which is how do I argue or how do I resolve a disagreement with my partner, but do it in a really, really healthy way? So there's a few different little systems I want to just share with you really quickly, give you a high level overview of them. One is, of course, this one aspect that people rarely feel seen, heard, or validated. So there's a process called SHUVA, developed by another consultant and author friend of mine by the name of Patty Beach. And this process of SHUVA is so simple yet really powerful. It's a beautiful little way of being able to remember the different steps. So S stands for to really see the other person. In other words, be present, make eye contact, be 100% focused on that individual. The H stands for to truly hear them, hear their tone of voice. Remember, 38% of the meaning of our communication is actually our tone of voice. So listen to what the emotions are behind their tone of voice, their word selection, because you really want to be able to hear in order for you to be able to understand. What most people do is they listen, and all the time they're loading up their comebacks to what the person just said. So they're loading up their defenses and not really listening to the other individual. So this is about getting yourself into a truly neutral state and listening to hear the person. Next is U for understanding. So you require to ask some clarifying questions. The last thing you do at the beginning of this process is jump into defense mode, jump into alternative evidences that your position's more right than the other person's. This is about taking the stance of I need to have clarification, understand, fully listen to this individual, my partner, so that I can take this place of self-accountability, self-ownership. Do not let your emotions run to the surface and fire back. That's the last thing you want to do. That's what makes toxic conversations. So the next is understanding. You want to be able to ask clarifying questions. As your partner's talking, just strive to understand them. If there's something they said that you don't understand, say, could you please say that in another way so I could understand you better? You could ask questions like, what's important about that to you? So you start speaking more at a values level. You can ask, could you say that again so I make sure I'm absolutely clear? You can also say, could I repeat back what I just heard you say to make sure that I heard you accurately? Now, remember, tone of voice is everything. Sincerity in the tone of voice is everything. In this phase of this process, you're doing appreciative inquiry to get clarification. Once you have clarification, then you want to validate and value that individual. A validation would sound something like this. I want to thank you for not holding on to this and for feeling safe enough with me that we can actually start having a conversation that leads to resolution. So I want to thank you for your ability to care for me enough to not hold this back, to not have it come into a suppression that just gets bigger and bigger over time, but to put it out on the table so we can actually address it now. That's one way of validating your partner. Next is appreciate. And so you want to say, I really appreciate you and your courage to be able to have this conversation, and more so for us to be able to reach some sort of resolution. So after you've understood them, you've seen them, you've heard them, you've understood them as best your ability as you can, then you have gotten to this place where you can validate them and appreciate them. The next step is what I call a feedback sandwich. This is often a common sort of communication process that's done in many organizations. But first you do an acknowledgement, which is, thank you again for being able to bring this to the table. I didn't know it was a problem. I didn't know I was X, Y, and Z-ing, and it was really irritating you. And I really want to thank you for that. And then the appreciate, or the ability to give feedback. So the first part of the sandwich is appreciation. Second part of the sandwich is your feedback back. And the feedback would be anything like, I didn't know I was doing that. My intention for doing X, Y, and Z was this. There is, this deep desire in me that we always communicate about anything. Nothing's left hidden. Nothing's left underneath the covers. We bring it out, we talk about it, and we get to understanding. So I want you to understand what was happening for me at that moment in time. And then you just go through what happened for you, what you were focused on, what happened in your day that caused you to X, Y, and Z, whatever that is. So then the next piece of the feedback sandwich is the second acknowledgement. So you just want to say, I really want to acknowledge you for, again, bringing this to the table. I think that as long as you and I are able to have this level of conversation so that I understand you and you understand me, then there's nothing that can stand in our way, because my ultimate objective is that you and I always create a sanctuary for each other in our relationship. And that, my friends, from SHUVA to feedback sandwich, will start giving you a more functional way to actually resolve problems. Now, there's a whole slew of other ways to be able to get to resolution with someone, because ultimately everyone wants to be seen, heard, acknowledged, understood, be everything they are and everything they're not in a relationship, and be loved anyways. And most people have issues with not being able to decide how to tackle this problem and resolve it. Oftentimes arguments happen because you both come from different places about how to resolve this issue. All we really want for you here is for you to gain the tools to create an incredible relationship that will last you a lifetime, so you grow, your partnership grows with your partner, your children grow to actually see their parents acting in a way that's functional, that's loving, and that's joy-filled. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just click the link below, and that will give you little tidbits that we're going to be doing along the way. Plus, it'll give you access to longer podcasts on our podcast show, Concentric. And if you really want to do a deep dive, then you can click onto our link, garyscourse.com. And what that will do is it will take you to a very big body of information that is an online course on creating incredible relationships, where we dive really deep into the relationship with self first, and then load you up with multiple skills on having really profound conversations, resolving problems, understanding each other at a very deep level, and creating the type of relationship that lasts a lifetime. So thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon, next episode. Bye-bye.